Hey everyone, Scott Sillari, and welcome back to the Hangout with Harrelson. Of course, our main man, Greg Harrelson. Greg, how you doing, buddy? I'm excited to be back. I know we had a little, I think we had like a month in between here, but I love it. I love getting back to it, Greg. I love getting back to it.
Well, good, man. Well, I'm excited to be back, and just as always, just want to be transparent, be authentic to the real estate, practitioners out there, and just see if we can contribute, give them some information that might help them in their business. So, if you're okay with it, we'll just go ahead and get started. You want to introduce Abe? You want me to? Either way is
Yeah,
fine with me.
introduce Abe a little bit and who
Okay.
he is, how long he's been with the company.
Okay. Well, Abe, this is Abe Safa, and maybe I'll let him introduce himself. Abe, how long have you been with us at Century 21, the Harrelson Group?
Since December
Okay, December 2016. So you've been in the
15th.
business for about what's that? 8 months? 8 or 9 months? Eight
Uh,
months.
8 months. Got my license in December.
Okay, got your license in December. So, let me just before we get into nuts and bolts of the real estate business, and maybe your business. What attracted you to real estate? Because you're new into the business. What was it that about real estate that attracted you versus all the other things you could have done?
I mean, for one, being around you for so many years and seeing, what you've done to the industry and what you've done to the local market here, I've always had an interest in getting involved in it. So I've done
Okay.
retail my whole entire life. So I've been in sales my whole
Yeah.
life. And
Okay.
to me, it seemed like the logical step to kind of stay in sales. And just love the way that you do it and the way the company does it. It's all about the consumer, and that
Yeah.
kind of coming from retail. That's my background. It's all about the consumer. So I felt like it was a good fit. Yeah.
Good fit. Yeah, so a little bit of background for those of you that don't, well, nobody probably would know this, but very few people. Abe and I have known each other since probably around 1988, 89. So we've been great friends for quite a long time. So, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate. He's probably heard me talk about real estate for 20 years. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he's taken off as well as he is. So let's kind of get into it. So how have you done the first 8 months of your career? How do you think you've done?
I mean, I think I'm doing okay. I mean, you don't compliment anybody, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not the big acknowledger, I guess when it comes to giving trophies and ribbons and whatnot. I'll give you a ribbon if you want. Just let me know. I'll have some ordered. But I think you're focusing obviously on the listing side, which what's interesting for those of you that are in the real estate business, if you're getting into the business and you're new, a lot of real estate agents will start off working buyers and sellers, and I know you've done some of that. You've been working with some of that. You've been working with buyers and sellers, but I think in the future, you've kind of looked at this and said, hey, I really like to represent sellers, because when you're representing a seller, not only are you in charge of marketing, creating demand for a property, but you're also trying to get your sellers the highest amount, the highest price for their property in the least amount of time. So I know you've been really focusing on honing in on your skills in that particular area. How have you been? Tell us how many listings you've taken in your first 6 months, and then maybe how many you've taken year to date.
First 6 months was 43.
Okay.
Year to date is 58.
Okay, so for those that are listening, did you hear that? So 43 in his first 6 months and 58 year to date. Now remember, he just got his license December 2015, so that's 8 months ago. Now, again, it probably would have been a lot easier for him to get into the business and work buyers and make sales like immediately. When I say immediately, I mean I understand, that it's not necessarily immediate, but if you get into the business and you work buyer leads, you may luck out and make a buyer sale within your first 30 days. When you get in and you start really focusing on mastering the art of helping property owners sell their property, it takes a lot longer to actually make money. So you end up getting a lot of listings. Sure, you make some sales, but what you're really likely to be doing right now is building a lot of momentum for sales towards the end of the year, and then especially for 2017. So tell me this, like, what in the world did you do, Abe, that helped you get that many listings?
Just made a bunch of contacts. Because
Okay.
honestly, in the beginning, I had no clue what I was doing. I mean, other
Yeah.
than following the scripts, of course. It just made a ton of contacts.
Okay, got it.
Actually, getting ready for this, I went back and looked at my numbers. In the first 6 months, I made 5,793 contacts in the first 6 months.
Got it.
So
Okay.
Just a ton of contacts. Simple.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a contact sport. So you made contacts, you identified people that you could help, and obviously they believed in your services. So they did business with you. But you know what? There's a lot of people that are going to be listening right now, and they're saying, "Well, I make a lot of contacts, but I don't seem to be getting any listings." So, congratulations. You made a lot of contacts, but what else? What else can you give us? Because again, there's plenty of people making contacts and not converting them.
It's kind of hard to explain because honestly, it's been really I've been so busy just making contacts. I really haven't had time to sit back and kind of go through the first 6, 7, 8 months and see what's bringing me success and what isn't. It's being on the phone, making contacts, and just following up with people religiously. I mean, at first it was pretty ugly in the sense like I had no skills. I kind of just get on the phone, just help people, and then I stumbled into some listings, and it felt like contact after contact. My skills are getting better, and just following up with people.
Good. So
I did a little math real quick, Greg. I did a little math. That was like 37 contacts per day if you were doing 5 business days. So it's not like 100 contacts a day if people heard the big number. Just FYI.
Oh, that's a great point. Great point for those that are listening. Yes, it is. 5,000 is a big number, but when you break it down into a 5-day work week, he's probably right on par because you're really doing about 3 hours a day. So it's slightly over 10 contacts an hour for 3 hours a day, and assuming your scripts, because I know you do, Abe. This is the type of of potential that sits out there. So what sources of where are you getting your business? Like, what are the sources?
Initially, it started off with strictly cold calling. So I did a bunch of cold calls early on, and then after about 3 months in the business, I started doing expires.
Okay, got it. So are you doing any for sale owners right now?
It's barely starting to start right now. Just tapping into it.
Okay, got it. So right now, mainly it's cold calling and then expires. So you're basically looking to serve people that have failed to sell in the past with a previous agent and give them some guidance. Right. So tell me about 2017. Like, have you started thinking about what your goal is going to be in 2017? Because what I really want to do on the remainder of this call is to kind of like dive into, where you want to go. I mean, it's great to look in the rearview mirror and say, wow, you've done a fantastic job your first 8 months. But the reality is your first year is all about getting yourself set up for your second year. In 2017 is where the real breakthrough should come from, or that's when you should see it. So what are you looking to accomplish in 2017 in terms of number of sales?
100 transactions.
Okay, so I wasn't really looking at you because I was making a note, but I did see at the corner of my eye that you kind of looked down and you took a deep breath. Okay, I mean, I should say you actually exhaled as if you kind of sound defeated. And so, for anybody that hangs around me, a lot of times I respond to your mannerisms, your inflection, tonality, body language, and breathing patterns more than I actually respond to your words. So for some reason, I stopped listening to you, and I started really paying attention to your body language. What was that all about?
Well, there's a hesitation there, obviously. So the hesitation is just it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like 100, at least based on talking to other people in the business. Not you, not your company. My goal going into this year was 50 transactions year one. But that's because I had no reference of what is realistic and what isn't. So I just made up a number, I went for it. So people thought I was nuts when I said 50 originally.
Yes.
I'm thinking 100 next year, people out there listening, they're going to think I'm insane or I'm full of it or one or the other, but that's the goal. Now, how am I going to get there? I don't know yet. I'm sure that's something you're going to guide me through.
Okay, well, good. And I think this is a great thing to be talking about, Abe, because, the challenge that I see in our industry is so many people have so much potential. There are so many average real estate agents, or great salespeople that are achieving below average results. And I think one of the challenges that they face is they walk into their office, they look at what the average person does in their office, or maybe the top producer in their office might be doing 30 deals, and then all of a sudden they say, hey, gosh, the top person only does 30. I don't know all they know. I don't have the size database that they have. My husband or wife doesn't have the job that they have that's given me all these referrals. So surely if they're doing 30, I have to do less. I think so many people look at their real estate peers, they look at the environment around them, and they actually believe that they're going to do less than the top producers, which is already probably doing less than we know can be achieved. So, I get that. The challenge that you're going to you're going to be faced with is this: you've got to always be willing to be uncomfortable with setting goals that are much higher than people believe you can achieve. Okay, because the goals that people believe you can achieve, they believe that you can achieve that because they're normal or a slightly above normal. But normal is all a perception. So they see things out there in the industry. They look and see what the averages are, and they say, well, 30 would be like well above normal, so that's good enough. 100, you are insane. You are crazy. People are looking at you like saying, hey, you make no sense. What are you, a fool? But here's the key. This is where you have an opportunity to make a difference, not only in the real estate business, but also to those people that actually think you're a fool. And that is, every time you set a goal that seems unreasonable and you achieve that goal, then all the people who are looking at you actually believe that they can do more for themselves. See, you're going to be the guy that's going to cut the trail and blaze through and clear it for the next people. So that's okay. Just understand that, if people believe that you can achieve your goal, it's probably too low.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Yeah,
So
I thought he was going to say a higher number, Greg. I thought 100 was low. I thought he was going to say 150.
yeah, really.
I mean, based on what he's done already this year, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think he started day one with nothing.
He's calling cold calls. Like, imagine if he actually calls people that want to talk to him.
Exactly. Yeah. So way on his way. There's no question about it. So here's the first thing that I've identified moving into reaching a 2017 goal of 100 transactions. I mean, right now you were one-dimensional. Now you're two-dimensional. Excuse me. You've got cold calling still going on. You've got expired still going on. You're going to need some additional lead sources in order to secure 100 transactions. If the market was to dip, which a lot of us believe the market's going to dip, yes, there's going to be a lot of expireds. And some people say, well, gosh, I'm going to get back into expireds. But as the number of expireds increases, you got to understand that there's the number of people that were already overpriced, and that's one of the reasons why they expired. If the market's shifting, then they're just more overpriced. So you think it was difficult, in a hot market to get people to price it right. Wait till you see a down market and see how it is. So even though we can see a number increasing in expireds in a shifting market, it doesn't get easier. The other side of it is you got to think about for sale by owners. For sale by owners right now are in a lot of markets, they're selling their property on their own. But in a shifting market, if we do shift, interest rates go up and whatnot, and I know that's subjective, everyone has an opinion on this, but assuming the market was to shift, for sale by owners could be something that really comes live and happens to be a great source. So for you, have you reached out to for sale by owners yet? Have you tested that market?
I've tested. I've made a few contacts. Nothing measurable at this point. I do have a service that sends them to me. So now I'm starting to get into it.
Okay, got it. So
Wow.
Wow.
Definitely the plans for the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Do you have a toilet in my office? Did you bring a toilet in my office? Sounds like you flushed the toilet. Anyway, so the key is, and let me just share remember, cold calling is when you're calling for business in the future. When you're calling expireds, you're calling for business today. When you're calling for sale by owners, you're looking to generate business within the next month, 2 weeks to a month. Okay, so what you want to be thinking about in 2017 is when you wake up in the morning, I want to call for some business today. I want to call for some business that will convert in 2 to 4 weeks. I want to call for some business that's going to convert in 6 to 12 months. And then the last pillar that I want to introduce to you, which you know it, but we want to focus on, is centers of influence. Okay, so between those four, I just think that that's if I had 4 pillars. Now remember, if you only have one pillar, those real estate agents that are one-dimensional, they have one pillar that they're focusing on. Imagine pillars are your foundation, and you only have one pillar or pylon, and your house is actually sitting on that pillar. See how rocky that is? If you have 2 pillars, which you have right now, it's still kind of rocky. It's like this. It might not rock that front and backwards, but it still rocks side by side. If you have 3, there's still a little bit of an angle that it can fall, but if you have 4, now that's stable. So it's just like a foundation. If you look at beach houses, raised beach houses, you'll see that there's typically an even number of pillars, and they're positioned to create a foundation for your business. 1 pillar, 2 pillars are not enough. 3 is fantastic, but if you can go into 2017 with 4 pillars under your business, that's the most stable position you can be in, and that's where the 100 deals comes from. So for sale by owners, I suggest you heavily move into that. Understand that for sale by owners are not going to be like an expired. It takes on average probably 6 phone calls in order to get into an appointment with a for sale by owner. But if you're willing to call that many times, the conversion rate from appointment to listing taken is very high. It's the contact to appointment is low, but the appointment to listing taken can be very high. So just understand that you just have to be patient and wait for them to get ready. Okay. What about centers of influence? How long have you been in Myrtle Beach?
28 years.
Okay, 28 years, and you've been in business for 28 years and in various sorts in Myrtle Beach. You've been involved in basketball leagues. You've been coach basketball for kids. You've memberships at golf clubs, really nice golf clubs. You probably know a lot of people in this town, right?
Quite a few, yeah.
Okay, quite a few. Okay, all right. So what are your thoughts on centers of influence then?
I like them.
Okay, that was the first lie, that you might like them.
Yeah, I like that.
But you may be scared to death to actually work them. And so what are your thoughts when I say, Abe, you really got to move into centers of influence?
A little bit of nervousness there, there's no doubt.
Why?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest and transparent. So,
good.
Starting off, I had a major hesitation of calling COIs, okay? Just for the fact that I don't want to put a friend or someone that I know really well in an awkward position where they feel like they have to go with me as an agent, especially as a brand new agent. So now over the last 8 months, I've gained a lot of experience. I've done, as you know, just tons and tons and tons of research and learning and stuff, and I feel like I know as much as any other agent in town right now, because of what I'm learning. Obviously, you can always learn more, but I'm starting to get the confidence that I can actually help them. It's not a matter of just list with me because I know you. So now, as I'm getting to the point where I know I can help them, I think it'll be easier calling them.
Okay.
But there's still a little bit of hesitation. You know me. I'm not the kind of as friends for business.
Yes.
That's
okay.
my yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So you may not want to ask your friends for business, but let me ask you this. I mean, I'm we work together, and we're also friends. I mean, if I was in a position that I might be about to make a decision that was going to cost me $10,000, that I could potentially lose 10,000, or it was obvious that the risk of me losing money, period, was high, would you call me up and tell me that I was about ready to lose money?
I would knock down your door so you
Yeah.
listen. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you believe I mean, you're 8 months into it. I mean, and you've trained quite a bit on the real estate conversations. You've had, I mean, countless hours of conversations on how to analyze real estate, when it comes to holding cost, analyzing a market, analyzing, their cash flow, analyzing, just looking at the rental numbers, or looking at, if somebody's thinking about moving from Myrtle Beach and our market seems to be flat, but they're thinking about moving to New Jersey and that market is increasing, you're able to analyze both markets to determine whether or not someone should move sooner or later. With all that information, you've had every one of those conversations dozens of times now. Do you think everybody in the real estate industry knows that information?
No.
Yeah. Have you negotiated with any agents that you feel probably could use a little bit more education on how to manage real estate and real estate or just manage property in general, and make buying and selling decisions?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So do you understand that you probably, in a short period of time, how long somebody's been in the business does not necessarily correlate with how much they know about the business? Okay, but what I hear you saying is your fear is that the people that you may talk to, your centers of influence, may judge you based on how long you've been in the business and may not judge you based on how much you know about the business. That's what it sounds like to me. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Okay, got it. So
But
again,
I think
go
I can
ahead.
get past that with a conversation. So I think after a conversation with them, and they understand what I know and how I can help them, I can get past that. So the hesitation with me still is, putting them in a position where they feel like, well, do I really want to go with Abe just because I know him? And that doesn't sit well with me. But
Can I jump in real quick because I have
Yeah,
a
man, please.
perspective shift for you, Abe. If you think about it from a perspective where if you're not jumping in to help your friends, the ones that know you and trust you the best, you're actually doing them a disservice if they go and work with an agent that doesn't know as much information as you. So that's your bad for not helping your friends. So you have to change that mindset shift and that perspective of, hey, if I'm not the best friend, the one that's been crushing it for the last 10 months to learn everything that I need to know to actually go and help them, then I'm doing them a disservice and putting them in a position to make a bad decision and lose money or not make the right real estate decision.
it's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, another way to look at that is this. It's like, okay, you could maybe deal with a few minutes of discomfort with the conversation until they actually really become present to how much you know, or you can carry the guilt for a couple years knowing that you avoiding that conversation is what caused them to lose tens, 20s, 30s of thousands of dollars. So there's going to be discomfort either way. You're going to either be uncomfortable making the first call, and that's only going to last for a couple minutes, or you're going to be uncomfortable knowing that you could have stepped up and said something and prevented them from losing $30,000, $40,000. So that's what you've got to wrap your head around, is you got to understand that, and I think this is what Scott's really saying, is not making the call, not avoiding the conversation is costing them money. If you're really a friend, go help them make good business decisions. That's where you got to wrap your mind around it. It won't take but one round of making these calls where everyone's going to know real quickly, holy cow, I just had a conversation with more depth about real estate with Abe than I have with 20 other real estate agents that I know, and those agents have been in the business for 15 years. And you've got to give yourself credit for spending the countless hours that you have studying the trade. Now, for those that are listening to this, you should approach your business the same way. The challenge is, and I challenge any listener that's dealing with the same things that Abe is talking about here, is that the difference between you, Abe, and most people is you have spent nights awake studying this stuff. So you're ready to go. I think every day that you don't make a contact and make yourself available to a centers of influence is a dollar loss for your friends. I really do think that that's what's going on now. I do agree with you, though, on day one, you didn't know as much. You probably knew a lot because we've been hanging around for many, many years, but you didn't know as much. But you're past that. So when will you start working your centers of influence? And by the way, some of your centers of influence are going to see this video. Yeah. And I challenge every single one of your centers of influence that are watching this video right now. I won't call them out by names. Test Abe. Call him up and ask him to analyze any of your properties. Test him. I know exactly what he's going to say, and depending on different scenarios, and your mind's going to be blown at the depth of information that you're going to receive. But be careful. He will tell you the truth. Okay, so when are you going to start, Abe?
Next Monday.
Okay, good. Good answer. You're leaving town tomorrow, so you won't be here. That's good. That's good. Okay, so what will you do next Monday?
Start making 10 contacts a day for COI.
10 contacts per day.
Uh-huh.
Okay, how many COI do you have? Roughly.
Got 500.
500. Okay, so that gives you 50 working days. Okay, that's a solid number. Okay. So
sounds like you need to send some videos, Greg.
Yes. You know what we need to do. There you go.
There's a lot more out there, man. I can see all the emails you have, all the Facebook friends, LinkedIn. Oof.
Yes. Yeah. So that's, when it comes to centers of influence, that kind of takes us to maybe the final step of centers of influence. Mm-hmm. And Scott's just, kind of leading us to that natural, the natural part of the conversation here is this. Is the first step, Scott and Abe, is you got to be willing to make the damn call. Right. Period. Right. I mean, if you're not willing to share your gifts and your talents with your friends, then until you get over that hurdle, then don't even think about going and creating videos and sending emails, because what ends up happening is people will send these videos, they'll send these emails, they'll text all these people, and they're just using those tools as creative avoidance for making calls, and then they're always wondering, gosh, I never really get that much. But when you have when you make a commitment like you did to us today, Abe, and you're willing to make the call, then you go out there and you make a few videos every month, and it be on educational content, obviously, like Vyral's doing. You get out there, you make these videos, say 2 a month, and you put them on social media. You send them, via email. You put them out there on YouTube. Now you start educating them. Then you go ahead and make sure that they're getting your newsletter. You go ahead and if you're going to have 500 centers of influence, make sure that they're called once a quarter. They see a video every month. They get an email every month, and you are not spamming them at no means. Like, it's one of those, like, if your friend was going to send you a video and it had value, or your friend was going to send an email and it was worth it for you to read it, that's the content. Whatever you would want to read is exactly what you should be sending. As a matter of fact, I meant to tell you, what you put on Facebook, where you put, it was the last 10 years of sales for a particular community, I think it was Press Week, and you said anybody out there that would like that information for their community to let you know. That's the type of information you want to send to your centers of influence, because it has real value to them. So between calling them, videos, posting those videos on social media, sending them via email, Maybe you actually call them, or no, definitely you call them once a quarter. And then I would recommend that you even consider, once a quarter, sending a mailer to them, just letting them know in the previous quarter, this is the success you had. These are the people that you helped. Maybe you don't use their names, but you use the properties. So your centers of influence can gain confidence over time that you're actually making a lot of sales. So in my opinion, in order for you to hit 100 deals in 2017, you got to add 2 pillars. You got to add the for sale by owner pillar, and you got to add the centers of influence pillar, and then you've got to add some additional touches to your centers of influence. Any questions on that? That's a lot of content right there. So I'm glad you'll be able to listen to this video again or watch this video again.
Yeah, no, that's pretty clear. Yeah, so keep doing what I'm doing with expireds.
Yeah.
Okay. We're making the cold calls, but add FISBOs and COA.
Yeah. And think of it as, I always want you to think of it this way. You're building a house, or you're building a structure, you're building a business, and that business sits on a foundation. Those are the pillars. And if you have less than 4 pillars, to me, your foundation is not stable enough to withstand the storm.
Gotcha.
Okay? So, again, Tony Robbins said when we were at Tony Robbins that winter is coming. We all, not everybody, but you saw an Inman article for those that look at Inman, and see Gary Keller is warning his agents that a shift could be coming. Mike Ferry at his Superstar Retreat says, hey, a shift could be coming. None of them are stating it as fact. But if you look at some of the major influences in the influencers that are in our industry, they're all saying that it's potential, highly probable that a shift is coming. Well, you do not want 1 or 2 pillars. For those listeners out there, you need 4 pillars, and you need 4 pillars fast, because we live on the East Coast. There's hurricanes. If you don't have your foundation, your business is not built on a strong foundation, that wind will blow you over. If you're on the West Coast and you're dealing with earthquakes, it's the people that have the stable foundations, have 4 pillars or more, that actually sustain those earthquakes. And what we want to do is, whether we know there's a storm or there's not a storm, we want to make sure that our foundation is stable so we can weather every storm. And the people who have 4 pillars and are consistent at working those pillars are the ones that not only grow during the good times, they actually grow through the hard times. And a good coach of mine, Tony DeCello, said to me, past coach of mine, said to me, he says, Greg, what you gain in a down market, it's hard to lose. What you lose in a hot market, it's hard to gain back. So if you'll go ahead and get your business stable right now and start building on 4 pillars, then you'll probably gain in a shifting market. Okay. Any final thoughts, comments, questions on any of that?
No. Got some stuff to work on.
You sure do. Okay, Scott, anything from you? If that's it, I'm about done.
Yeah, I love it, man. I'm excited for Abe and to see what he can do. I mean, 28 years in one place, man. He's got a lot of friends and people he can work and help. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you, Abe. This has been great, Greg. I love it. So thanks to everyone for watching.
Yeah. Let me say one final thing for a couple people. For those of you watching and you're having a challenge breaking out yourself in your own business, listen, let me just tell you the secret about Abe. He had good work ethic. He showed up in the morning. He worked all day. He learned his scripts. He made his contacts. And from there, he gained a lot of knowledge. He gained a lot of confidence. And for the most part, that's where his business is taken off from. So any of you can do it. You just have to have those disciplines. So I congratulate you, Abe, for doing that, and I wish those that are listening the best of luck. If they just follow in those shoe steps or footsteps, they'll be fine.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, and we'll be back next month for another great episode of the Harrelson Hangout, and we'll see you again.